Hello everybody and welcome back to Letterbox Book Club. My name is Claire.
And I'm Mackenzie.
And today we are joined again by our friend Maddie.
Hi.
And we are discussing part 2 of House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. And Maddie will be continuing with us as we sift through this big boy book.
Part 2 and 3.
Part 2 and 3. I mean, it's going to be part 2, only part 2 because it's just been decided upon. I suppose we don't need to read a blurb or anything again because you read it last week. We're all familiar. So, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Whoever wants to go first.
Should we do a quick little recap of where we left off part 1?
Sure. Alright, take it away.
And where we pick up in part 2? I don't know. You're the person who's read it most recently.
No, it's not my responsibility. Alright, hang on, I got my notes. 1 second. Alright, so we're kicked off with Bryce and Prithian. She is on the hunt for answers in regards to the Star Sword and the Truth Teller dagger and why it calls to her, blah blah blah. She needs those items to destroy the Asteri. They encountered an Asteri in the prison in the tunnels, and Bryce was studying some artworks. Back in Crescent City, Ethan and co are trying to save Tharian from his enslavement to the Viper Queen. They succeed. Ethan is losing control of the Sigrid situation. He has to kill her as per an arrangement with the Viper Queen, so he's now trying to rectify that and resurrect her. And the Hind, Lydia, is trying to rescue the Dungeon Boys, Baxian, Hunt, and Rune. A funny, notable moment was when Baxian bit off Reese, fuck off. Rune's hand. Sorry. I've read the bonus chapters
moment?
today. Yeah, it was a funny moment. Yeah, it was funny. Because, they worked so hard to try and make it happen, and then just as they were about to succeed in their little plan, Rigelis walked in.
I called heartbreaking, but if you want funny, that you do you.
And then essentially, Bryce kills an Asteri in the prison, and she teleports back to the Autumn King, and then the rest of the people are on the Death Charger. And that's where we left off.
Alright, let's get into it.
Straight away we get into it, and Lydia has sons, that's kind of...
Okay, see, now I'm confused about how old Lydia is.
Okay, so how so? Are you thinking, Lydia's in her 30s? What's...
But, she's also Fae, so, she could be
Yeah.
the equivalent of 200 years old.
Yeah, and how old are her sons? 15?
Yeah, I'd say about 15.
I guess if she was a teen mum.
Potentially. But remember, it was from a ritual, so,
From
it
a ritual, which was so briefly touched on and so vaguely written. It's...
Yeah, and it's their father, it doesn't matter who their father was,
Yeah, that's just Sarah planting a seed, so that way that can become someone important in a future book, I guarantee you.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a bit more of a cop-out because, I don't know if I may stray for a second, because Lydia's kids were essentially made from a ritual, and we know Hunt is essentially made from the Hell of Princes, the Prince Daddies, or whatever people like to call them these days. Is it just a cop-out for Sarah to not write out or flesh out their proper lineage to them? Because a lot of going into this book, everyone was wanting to know, or they were making connections to certain...
Or was the ritual like Fire Night, like Caladmai in Athalar, where it was about the magics? Maybe.
I don't know. I just thought that a lot of people had vested interest in learning more about Lydia's lineage because you make the connection that she is a descendant of Tog World folks. Mm-hmm. And then Hunt's more so from, I don't know, I think it's just because we don't really know much about Hunt anyway, and so we'd like to know his lineage in that sense. So I just think that them both essentially...
Claire.
What? I know Lydia wasn't made, sorry. I know that makes it seem that way.
No. Wait, you finished the book. Yeah. So you know. Yeah, he was made.
Yeah, he was made. Yeah, I finished the book.
Cool.
Yeah.
I was just wait a minute.
Yeah. I just think because, the way that I'm saying this making me think that Lydia has been made. She was not made. It's just for her sons. But, I don't know, because everyone wants her to have that super connection to the Tog world, which obviously she is because Brannon, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm. Which causes issues with the timeline.
How so?
Because Brannon was meant to be, one of Lydia's recent descendants. Brannon in Tog world... Oh, and Tog world's meant to be happening all at the same time. Sarah said everything happens at the same time. So how is Brannon a recent descendant of Lydia, but yet for Aelin, Brannon was generations and generations ago?
And Lydia has Rowan's ring.
Allegedly.
I saw a TikTok saying that it's a different ring. They made a pretty good argument that it was a different ring.
I just don't know why there would be so much like emphasis on the ring though if it was a different ring.
I can see the next book focusing on, at the least, Rune and Lydia. Because we've already said that Hunt and Bryce's story is pretty much done. Like Sarah
like
said
a
that herself.
little cameo of them and Bryce is pregnant.
Yeah, it's very much how they've done with Reese and Feyre, where they're off to the side, they're just not central to the plot anymore. But by having Lydia more a central character, I think that's where we're going to start getting more information on what's going on with the connection with the Tog world.
For sure. I just think perhaps being a descendant of Brennan, maybe there were other figures in his life that it hasn't been mentioned or hasn't been talked about, or they've just simply disappeared from the Tog world. So it's still probably happening rightfully simultaneously, but we just don't know about that aspect of Brennan's life. Because he's like a god, essentially, isn't he? Or is he just like a big fey figure?
Brannon was...
Like, just a fey king.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, he could have had bastard sons, or, like, non-bastard sons and bastard children and stuff. He could have had a sneaky link along the way.
Because, it was Brannon, and then was Brannon's daughter, Elena, that sort of directed Aelin on all
I don't remember.
Aelin and,
it was so long
Gavin.
ago that I read it.
So, like, who knows? Maybe Gavin had a long-lost brother or sister or something. Like, who knows? Something has been lost in that part of history, perhaps.
But the firepower comes from Brannon, so she has to be, like, a direct descendant.
For sure. So, like, a figure has either been erased or disappeared. Maybe.
Yeah.
Or Sarah's fucked the timeline.
Yeah, or she's fucked the timeline. Because sometimes I forgot in the moment that, it's all happening, like, simultaneously. Because I always just get just the thought, like, imagine if Lydia was just, like, a direct descendant of Aelin and Rowan herself. And I know that's not the case, but it was just a funny thought.
Well, I mean, I've seen so many theories online that state that, we don't really have a proper map of Midgard. Why couldn't it be the future version of the Tog world? But then Sarah herself has said so explicitly that no, everything's happening at the same time, so it has to be a different world.
Interesting moving forward, Lydia's lineage. But yes, it was a big shock that she had a couple of kids in general, and it was a shock that Bran was named after Brennan.
Yes.
Again, ties the Tog world in a little bit more. And everyone was really happy with that because that's what everyone suspected. So excellent.
And I could see it being something we're going to explore more going forward. So it was
sure.
It was really good to see Lydia more fleshed out. So
she definitely stole the show. I think in that TikTok that I sent you guys earlier today, like to come in and just serve absolute
in
cunt.
the third book in the third series.
Yeah.
I think she had a close rival in this book though, as far as like show stealing.
All right, who was your secondary showstopper then, or who would you think would
Jessica.
contend?
100% Jessica.
I mean, she just came in just to be killed off. Like, I completely forgot about her, to be honest.
But I think it's one of those things. She's been shrouded in mystery the entire time. There's always been this inkling of there's something more going on with her backstory. And then to sort of throw her in the mix of being like, oh yeah, she was there when everything changed 15,000 years ago. I can almost see Sarah setting it up for maybe a prequel. Maybe we'll see what's going to happen.
Okay, and like how she and Apollyon had their little tiff, and what led her to be immortal.
Pretty much, yeah. I think there's a lot more to be explored there, but for the sake of this story, it fit really well, like with her stepping in. What did feel out of character though was how she was. She's been so secretive all this time, and then all of a sudden she's just spilling her guts out to Ethan over absolutely everything.
It's the way it is, yeah. Like, you have this mysterious character who everyone's intrigued by, and then,
Allow me to monologue at you.
But,
exactly.
And I feel like that was the failing with this book in general, is periodically throughout the book, it was just info dump. It was all telling and not showing. Like, it was just... Here's a wad of information. Okay, you can go forward with the action scene now.
It was very much like a video game when you meet a checkpoint and you meet the next dialogue option of the story.
100%.
It's really what it is, yeah. Same with Jezebel, same with the Princes of Hell, same even with, I guess, Autumn King to a degree when Bryce visited him briefly.
Mm-hmm. And Bryce visiting the Autumn King when she got back, that annoyed me too. how she was like, oh, it was my plan all along to get captured. I came here on purpose. It's like, we were reading the story from Bryce's point of view, so why we as the reader were we blindsided by it? Like, it came across as, like, poor writing of that scene.
Aha, I meant for this to happen. Let's talk about going to Avalon, though. How are we saying it? Did anyone audiobook it?
I did, but I've already forgotten.
Oh.
No. Avalon. Avalon, if you want to sound posh.
Avalon, maybe? I don't know.
Anyway, the floating island. The world was very reminiscent of the Tog world. So I was very excited about that.
Yes.
Because it seemed like still in the past, like they didn't have electricity, blah, blah, blah. Would you be team caves or team archives?
Team Caves, because at least they got shit done. What did Team Archives accomplish?
Are we saying, like, if we were in that world, who we'd want to pair up with? Because Team Archives, for me. Because, I'll go with Lydia, no matter where. Like,
Oh, okay. Yeah. But just know, I suppose with Team Caves as well, women are severely unwanted.
I would be Team Caves. Let's talk about Team Caves, or just the caves in general, because we spent the first part of this book in a cave, and now we've spent the second half of this book, well, another third of this book in a cave.
Alright, which fraction are we going with, Kenzie?
A third, because it's broken into 3.
Yes. It's okay, I was trying to make a joke.
Can you tell I failed maths?
I suppose it's all meant to be very similar, and the pathing that Celine and Helena laid out were obviously going to be very...
And I understand that they had to leave their power somewhere, but it would have been cool, I don't know, if, like, someone left it underground, someone left it on top of a mountain, and then someone left it, I don't know, in something.
I think there's better ways to transfer power than to have it equivalent of, like, a video game power-up constantly throughout the book. It's like, oh, you found the secret crystal, now you get this power. It's like... Yeah,
it got to this point, and then even after, I suppose, chatting with the Princes of Hell for a little bit, and we'll probably talk more in depth about that later, when they started talking about, how Helena and Celine, hit a third of their power in whatever, I thought, alright, we're reaching towards the end of this book, there's no way we're going to have another, third item search situation. So I was getting a little bit worried about that. Then I was annoyed that it was always too obvious when, straight away she's like, oh, the third power is here, or I have to do this to unlock it, and blah, blah, blah.
Did anyone notice the incorrect naming of someone in this book?
Yes. Seamus and not supposed to be Duncan.
It's Darrig. Good one, editors. Good one, Sarah.
What happened?
The Death Twins, in previous books, they're Seamus and, Darrig.
Yeah.
And in these ones, it's Seamus and Duncan.
Kenzie, you're going through for her throat at the moment. Relax. Can we not make a single mistake?
You can make a mistake, but, surely someone should have picked up on it.
But
maybe.
Going back to the overall Avalon situation in general, though, it is wild that there's this whole continent that is just stuck in basically the Middle Ages. Like, can you imagine in our real-world scenario if there was a whole country that were just...
Amish,
yeah, think like an Amish-style lifestyle, but an entire country. And,
And I just didn't the miss keep out the Asteri because it's Helena or whatever, her power, keeping the Asteri away.
And the black salt.
And then it's I don't know, it just felt so overpowered just to be transferred so easily to Bryce. I don't know, it felt really cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she did have to, put the sword and the knife in the wall and turned it a little bit. It was a little bit more than just transferred. It's like a literal key.
Right towards the end, there was never any proof that it did keep the Asteri away. It was always just speculated. To the Team Caves versus Team Archives, Team Archives achieved nothing.
Yeah, they got kidnapped.
They got kidnapped and then used as bait. That was it.
And then Rune and Lydia didn't even notice that they'd been kidnapped.
Yeah. Hands up if you were sus from the minute they didn't rock up that one morning. There we go. Or even when they didn't rock up to dinner or something, and Lydia and Rune just assumed it was them trying to allow them to catch up and reignite their relationship. But how do we feel about meeting Tristan Flynn's sister as part of this Avalon situation?
Oh, it's so unnecessary.
So unnecessary.
It's only to hinder Tharion that little bit more. Because, he's on the run from the River Queen.
Give him a potentially interesting plot, and then she just fucks off anyway.
Yeah,
Can we get to Tharion and Ethan? Because I swear to God, those two boys, I just want to...
Firstly, with the Team Caves, Team Archives as well. and I'm sure as you guys were reading as well, and I'm sure a lot of people might have picked up on it, wouldn't it have made sense if at least Rune, Declan, or Tristan went with either of those three, or if they could have just gone with Bryce to the Cave of Princes to look for the Star Sword, because they were there as part of their ordeal, or Rune's ordeal.
But Bryce mentions that in the book, that like it'd be really good to have one of you there, and they're all like, yeah, no, we're not doing it.
Yeah, I don't want to go there again.
Like, they survived once, and they had the murder twins after them. But yeah, I think it just would have made sense for them, but instead, you know, I don't think Sarah would have wanted Bryce and Hunt to have been separated any longer. And Baxian needed something to do, because I don't understand why he's still hanging around, to be completely honest. he offered nothing.
Yeah, I understand that, but the winning scene with Baxian in this book was when they're doing the escape and he's just hanging off the back of the car after the turret's been torn off, just grinning his head off. Like, you know, that just made him for this entire book. But you're right, he did achieve nothing.
No, he was just to almost remind Bryce that, like, Danica would have been proud, or Danica would have loved to have been a part of this, blah, blah, blah.
It's interesting. Sarah doesn't often do the, you know, they were mates, but one of them died side of things. It's usually we just see, oh, they're mates, and they're going to be in it together forever.
Yeah.
It feels like not only does Baxian come across as lost, it feels like Sarah is lost with what to do with Baxian.
Yeah, because what do you do with him now? Yeah, if his mate's gone.
Yeah.
Although she has said that you can have two mates, so maybe he'll get someone else in the future.
Maybe. The consistent basis in Sarah's worlds is that if your mate dies, you essentially, like, you are so... Oh, I suppose it's... Yeah, you're meant to be, like, absolutely devastated and, like, torn apart. But
like, part of your soul's gone. Like...
Yeah, but I suppose we can't see it because, you know, he would have been feeling it in Crescent City 1, which would have been, like, what, several months? Or a little bit, a year before these events, so... And he would have been working with the Asteri, so he would have had to have been stoic anyway, so...
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been nice to get, like, a proper sort of idea of what happens when you lose a mate, yeah.
And, I don't know, we're going to touch on this more later, but with the bonus chapters, so we had, like, 5 bonus chapters, none of them touch on Baxian and Danica's relationship. You'd think that would be a prime opportunity to get a flashback story, honestly, episode. Yeah. Flashback story of you know, here's what they were like together when they did have their quick, quiet moments.
It could have been like a montage.
Yeah,
of how they met.
We didn't get anything of that. It feels like Baxian being Danica's mate was an afterthought.
It was just another one of her secrets that she held.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Just another secret.
Danica and her secrets. I'm so glad that was minimal in this book.
Alright, we can talk about Tharian for a second.
I'd rather not, but...
I suppose we've already really just discussed him. Yeah,
Tharian, I'll marry her.
I'll marry her. Oh, but his reasoning was because if his sister was in that situation, he'd hope someone would step up or a good male would do the same for her. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, we know how noble he is and how much he's willing to sacrifice himself.
And then, because Lydia said as well, like, no one... Is this part where she's like, no one fought for me?
Yeah, but I think, only Bryce heard that, so... Yeah, I guess it was well received by some, but really it's just another thing to, hinder him, because, he's on the run from the River Queen, he's on the run from the Viper Queen, he's now pretty much escaped from the Ocean Queen's charge. Like, the man is not making good decisions, as the memes on TikTok are making it well aware.
I mean, men in general don't make good decisions, but I messaged you about this earlier. I think that's the issue with Sarah's books overall, is we have these characters like Rune and Reese and Hunt and Rowan, where, you know, they're the pinnacle of, you know, the best of the best, and then you've got Ethan and Tharian, and they're just like, they're making decisions that regular people would make. Like, in the heat of the moment, we need to make a quick decision, so that's what they do, but they come across as just stupid because of that.
While we're talking about Tharian, I want to quickly talk about Ethan, and just one moment out of all his moments where he was just a dumb idiot. When he and Hypaxia are like, we need to go to Avalon, we need to blah blah blah, and it's like, pick up a phone, find out where Bryce and everyone else is up to, and then you'll find out that they're there as well. Like, what's the point of having phones and stuff if you're not going to utilize them?
Phones don't work in Avalon.
Oh, that's true, I forgot about that part.
Yeah, you go from Kenzie.
But surely someone else knew where they were.
No, but that was like the annoying thing. Yeah, no one really... once the party was split
communicated.
Up, you know, no one truly knew where anyone is, but it was very convenient for them to all end up at the same place. Because, like, why would Sophie, the rebel chick's body, be in Avalon to begin with? I don't remember any of that. Why would it be there?
Well, it was meant to be with the River Queen, and then apparently got transferred to Avalon. Like, I don't know. Like,
all right. Yeah, I don't know. Ethan and his guilty conscience. I ended up really did enjoying his character arc into becoming a prime, because obviously these trials and tribulations were meant to help him and for him to step into that sort of leadership position, which I find that he should have already been relatively worthy because of the of him defying Sabine in the first book with the demon attacks.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Like, surely that in itself was his considered level up, even though he may not have become prime.
The old prime himself, ages ago, basically said, when you want a position, let me know you're still worthy in my eyes, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
But Sabine was just always the problem. But I'd very much feel like this book was, Ethan's he had to build his own self-belief and self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
Even Jasper kept pushing him towards it, being like, are you sure you really want to resurrect the Lost Fender? Like, maybe you need to look at yourself. And he's like, no, I need to do this. Like, okay.
And it's just this overarching motivation of just do your brother proud. Like, I'm sure Connor would have been proud when he led the wolves, in the demon attack. Like, he stepped up in that moment, and therefore I feel like he is worthy. But then Sarah's just written him into this wallowing, self-pitying puppy who is very undeserving of any sort of leadership position. And it's just resorted to, like, a sunball player, the funny meme that's happened. So, and I feel like I think I even said in the first part, like, just the whole Sigrid Fender thing, it really amounted to nothing of complete and utter significance. It's just that ploy to get Ethan to be able to accept himself into becoming a proper alpha and prime.
Same as Ari or Adriana, however you say her full name.
The dragon.
The dragon. The only thing that came out of the whole saga that was the astronomer, mystic, what was he?
Astronomer.
The only thing that came out of that was the fire sprites, who became integral characters and helped with the rescue.
Yeah,
everyone else is a write-off.
Exactly.
The Sigrid didn't matter in the end. Ari didn't matter in the end. The astronomer got what was coming to him in the end. Like, it's just none of these mattered at the end.
Can we also talk about Hypaxia, her necromancy? It's 0 for 3 at this point, so
oh no.
I think she should stop.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she's meant to be one of the greatest necromancers of the land, so to speak, and
she's under a bit of pressure here, guys. Jesus, time is of the essence. She has to hightail it out of there.
Sure, and she lost her girlfriend too, so that'll do it to you.
Yeah, I know, a bit of heartbreak, a bit of glow up. Like, take it out on these bodies that you're trying to resurrect.
You will also never know love.
Yeah, exactly. Now that I think about it, I actually quite enjoyed the pairings, though, because they're characters interacting with each other who we'd least expect. Like, I never thought Ethan would ever interact with Jezebel or Hypaxia to the degree that he did. So yeah, Hypaxia, House of Flame and Shadow leader. They killed the Underking. No one is commanding the Death Souls, essentially. Well, she is to a degree, but we didn't expect that to happen. How do we feel about the Underking?
That whole interaction felt very rushed. It feels like we're just tearing this book apart at this point.
Once again, it felt like it was a let me monologue at you situation. And he also said that interesting thing like, oh, some call me Erd or whatever, some call me Word. And then he said something about a cauldron.
Their goddess.
Yeah.
The goddess said, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, hello? Like, do you mean something? Oh, you're dead.
It was clearly inferred that he was from the Tok world.
I've been seeing a lot of TikToks as well of people thinking, the front cover of the front cover of this book, they think that that's the representation of Erd or Word with all the tattoos and the holding, and she's the design of the temple and everything, which would be pretty cool. Interesting how, he says a word that everyone amongst the Sarah J. Maas book space is so familiar with, and then obviously he has to cark it.
Yeah.
I think because this trilogy, series, whatever, is about kind of abolishing the old rule and creating like a new society for everyone, it was nice that everyone in essentially Bryce's pack, got to end up in their leadership positions, and I think this was a way for Hypaxia to be involved in that as well, because again, off screen or off the pages, there was a witch coup when she was just appointed as queen, and we didn't really get to see that. So now that she has to become involved in all of this as well, like, how do you guys feel about that sort of?
I don't understand her character. I don't know why her character needs to have so much importance. I feel like in this book, like, her character took, and previous ones, more importance over Jezebel, who in the end, Jezebel is the one that, like, sacrifices herself to save Bryce and stuff. And then, so it's like, why aren't we getting more Jezebel when she is this really big, important character? And Hypaxia was just kind of brought in last time and was like, ooh.
Hypaxia was more interesting when she was a random med witch who was helping them find the
like, actually being useful.
Yeah, and then then we found out that, she's actually the one that's, they've got the arranged marriage with Rune, and so that was interesting if it was going to come to fruition. But then when that marriage fell apart, I was like, okay, well, why are you still here?
Yeah.
And to what you were saying, Claire, with having all the friends in, their leadership positions, so to speak, I worry with this whole idea now that we've abolished the monarchy and we're bringing in democracy, which, is great in its own right, and for the overall world, I'm very happy. But does that make this next book basically, it's going to have to be basically a political drama, because it's going to have to, like, elect a whole, rebuild society from scratch?
At the end, it's like, oh, we're abolishing everything. And it's like, okay.
They need to work out, not just government, they need to work out electricity of some form. Like, there's so much that needs to happen. I can see the next book having really bad pacing, because there's so much, unless they do a time jump, so much needs to happen.
And it's like, okay, yeah, that's fine, but I don't think you can, just abolish, like, the integral, like, society, like, the way that society is.
Because if we take this in real world equivalent, it'd be like, okay, let's say we've just come back from a world war, but, electricity's not working anymore. And then at the same point being like, oh, by the way, we're changing how we run the government. Like, it's just too much all at once.
And in, I think, Lydia and Rune's bonus chapter, they were expressing there is some discontent with some folks who are, what is it? The first light deniers, that they don't believe that the light and the electricity and the power is going to run out. Like,
which is very real world. Like, we have conspiracy theorists all the time. But I can see that's how Sarah's going to lean into it the next book. Like, there's going to be problematic factions who are just not going to believe anything.
For sure. Battles and encounters like this, it creates a power vacuum. But then because Bryce saved the day, she's going to obviously step forward and lead, and then she's going to be like, all right, these people are going to be in positions of power because my friends, and you're just going to have to trust me because I saved the world. And obviously there are going to be people against that.
Also, can we talk about Rune and Lydia? We finally got a wedding.
Sure.
Finally we got a wedding in a Sarah J. Maas book. But it was also a bonus chapter.
I'll take it. At least they didn't get married off screen again.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would have kept with the ongoing joke at this point. No main characters ever getting married on the pages. Like, I would have loved to have just kept that going, just for the lols.
It was like, I remember at the start of this book, the amount of people I've spoken to were just like, when did they get married? Like, when did that happen? Like,
it was cute. It was casual. Like, I wouldn't have imagined Rune and Lydia having a big ceremony. Quiet, covert, just with their friends and family. What more could you want?
Oh, that's it. But I think it was good, aside from the wedding. I think it was good to sort of see where the world was sitting after the events of everything.
Oh, for sure. That slight glimpse, of those deniers.
Just to know that, because it felt almost, with the overall story, it felt a little bit too neatly tied up of like, okay, we've saved the day and we've abolished this and we've done this and we've done that. It felt very much like the end, which we know it's not. So it was good to see that, okay, no, there is still problems in the world that they need to address.
For sure. Like, I personally don't have to read it. Like, read a whole intricate novella about how that comes to be. Like, if there is going to be anything in the fourth book, I wouldn't be surprised if there would be like a time jump and we just get little glimpses of, discontent, riots, if any, and what they had to do in order to establish themselves properly.
Yep.
Before we even, like, tick off into bonus chapters, like, what did we think of, like, I suppose the final encounter, big battle against the Asteri? How do we think? The plans, everyone's off doing their own little things. Bryce using the mask, going back and visiting Nesta, being like, give me the mask, bitch, please. But you can have my parents as collateral.
Oh, yeah, just shoving the parents in there.
I really enjoyed when Regulus, whatever his name is, was like, haha, we know about your plan to open hell. We've been there for days or whatever. And then it cuts to Bryce and Hunt are there or whatever, or like the POV at hell, and their army is waiting. Like they only sent half their army.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, finally something is going their way.
Some sort of intelligence. Like, I like that because, yeah, we don't have to, on the page, see them talk battle strategy. And this is the show, don't tell situation. Like, yeah, it would have been all nice and dandy for them to have pages and pages of what their plan is. But, yeah, having it just happen, and then them outsmarting Regulus, however you want to say his name, it was pretty cool.
But that was always the thing that Aelin did best, where it was like, okay, just go along with it and you'll find out the plan eventually. You didn't get the full details until things actually happened. And Bryce in book 1 was very much the same. It was, you know, Hunt thought Bryce was getting her nails done and just stuffing around and being all prissy, but when she was actually strategizing the whole time. You don't always need to see the planning, but it needs to feel fluid when it does come about.
Yes.
No, you need to be able to just think. You understand the thought process that she's going through.
It needs to feel realistic. So Bryce needs to have had actual time to have put this together behind the scenes.
I saw a really good TikTok earlier today, or it could have been yesterday, because there were a lot of complaints online about, Bryce is omitting plans to people, and it's very a la Aelin, and Sarah's trying to make Bryce like Aelin. Yeah, a good TikTok, which was like, Aelin had a valid sort of reason because she essentially had no one and she had herself, so of course she would keep all her plans to herself, whereas Bryce actually had like an abundance of friends, even though they all played different parts in this book. Like, surely she could have shared something to some people.
So another thing saying that this whole book takes place over like 10 days.
That's insane.
And I was like, what? And it's like, of course poor BB Hunt hasn't processed his trauma, Bryce, and like, give the man a second. Like, he's been in the dungeons again, not knowing if you were alive, not knowing what was going to happen, thinking that he's going to his death, and then you're like, I need to know if you're all in on this, like, I need to know if you're prepared to die for me, blah blah blah.
I suppose there is a huge level of urgency as well, because they feel like, well, Ophion, the rebels, like, they've essentially been quashed at this point. Like, if they have need a time to strike, they need to strike now. And I feel like there was that level of urgency. And no, that doesn't excuse how she disregarded Hunt's feelings and his traumas at all. But like, it's one of those moments where we need to get this done and we can talk and process kind of later. That's how I felt.
I can definitely see both sides of that. Like, I don't think she was in the wrong. Well, no, I do think she was in the wrong, but I think from her point of view, you know, I can understand why she acted the way she did. Every second counted. Like, you know, the Asteri knew that they were onto them. They knew that she was going to come back and that was going to cause issues. So there was the pressure that it had to be dealt with now, or they'd never get another chance.
And I think they had a chat in Avalon where they were just chilling for a moment while I think everyone was heading over. Like, they could have just stayed there and hid. They could have just, like, taken their time, but no, they agreed kind of together that, yeah, now's the time for us to do this.
I just wish, I don't know, that it was only 10 days or whatever, but I wish there was a moment where, yeah, they had a couple of days where they said, okay, this is plan, this is what's going to happen, like, it's coming, but we're not there yet, so let's just take these couple of days. I would have liked to have seen some, like, cozy, like, content, some cozy content, if you will, of just them being young people in this world. Yeah. Like, facing mortality as well, while also having these huge emotions of love and friendship.
Because I think this is why the smut in this book just did not work for me. Because it was in such a tight time frame. You know, the pressure was on. We need to do this. We need to do that. We need to do that. Like, well, why? This isn't realistic. Why are you making time to bang each other in the middle of an argument over what needs to be done next? It just didn't feel realistic.
Exactly.
The other thing I was going to say earlier too, when you were talked about Bryce being the next Aelin, and I'm not just saying this because of fire powers, but I feel like
Lydia.
Thank you. Lydia was written much more like Aelin than anyone.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like, the way she responded to what had to be done, like, it just, it felt very Aelin-esque. Her planning and strategizing on her own, like, all of it.
I mean, she had to.
Yeah, that's it.
So the final battle, I guess, the last encounter, Bryce v Rigellis, or v the other 4 Asteri. How cool that Bryce actually got to kill an Asteri. I'm glad we got to see that, because there was a lot of talk about... Oh, yeah, well, I suppose all of them, the rest of them technically as well. But, like, with the sword and the dagger, because there was a lot of emphasis of, like, oh, how am I going to use it? How am I supposed to use it? Blah, blah, blah. And then, obviously, after her major level up, as they like to say, with their powers, it was really cool that we got to see it in action. And also, just quickly, just having Hypaxia make that little antidote to allow everybody to, like, become into their full powers was also pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. But then also... was it Tharian? Who,
Tharian.
A bunch of them.
He flooded, like, an area, and he's like, I dropped
just
him.
Bro, like...
He's a bumbly fool. That's what
but
Maddie was
so
saying.
Fucking for real right now.
He's just a bumbly fool. He cannot win. To be fair, he is a mer. He has slippery hands, no? Also, quickly, no drug withdrawals. Like, even 10 days.
Oh, yeah.
Or with, like, surely. And when was he last in water, except for when he saved Lydia? Like, he hadn't been in water for a while, I would assume. I don't know. Yeah.
I guess he just finds time off page.
Sure. Just a quick dip.
Quick dip in a bath.
I thought overall the final battle was really good. One thing I would have liked to have seen more, as we've already established earlier on when Bryce was in the caves with Nestor and Az, that she was able to summon the swords at will.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have liked to have seen better choreography with the actual fights of her maybe, almost throwing the dagger and pulling it back. Like with her. Yeah. We've already established that she has this power. Let's lean into that and give her more of a creative fighting style.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Such lovely imagery. Yeah, I just loved her stabbing Polaris and the little black hole. Because then, you often wondered, like, what did the Autumn King and what did everyone mean when they said, it's a world that leads to nowhere.
Speaking of the Autumn King, we've skipped past something very important.
Oh, the death of both kings?
Mm-hmm. Okay, but as soon as you hear about what Rune's prophecy...
Oh, yeah.
Or, like, the Oracle... In, like, book 1, isn't it, where the royal line will end with him? I was like, he's gonna kill his dad. Yeah, I was like, it doesn't mean that he's going to die. I was like, it'll just be, the male royal line.
Yeah, I just had the tunnel vision of is either dead or not gonna have a kid, which is fine.
Yeah, and, like, I don't know how I felt on the King of Avalon in all his sexist glory. Basically yielding, and Bryce just killed him anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
why not?
It's wartime, I get it, but also, it's rough.
But then there's the hypocrisy of Hunt wanting to kill Celestina, and Bryce is like, no, we cannot do that. That was a bit annoying, because, like, Celestina has nothing to do with Bryce. It's essentially Hunt's kill, if need be. And he should have been allowed to fulfill it, I feel. But... Yeah, I suppose, you gotta destroy the old ways one way or another, and what a greater metaphor than just killing off all these old misogynistic Fae men.
Oh, for sure. For sure. They were never going to come around with the New World Order, so they had to go. Just
kill the regression as it stands. And I loved that Rune got to kill him, because obviously the Autumn King had abused him with his fire powers growing up, etc., etc. And obviously, Rune enacted that revenge, and in order to save Bryce as well, which we know that they have a very loving brother-sister relationship, and he would die for her. I loved that.
Yeah, no, that was really good.
I'm glad that, Rune had the kill.
It's a shame that he's now no longer the Crown Prince. But oh well. No, but I love that altogether, how he was like, I yield my crown and title to Bryce, just before he even killed them, just as like a fuck you.
But also, he kind of did that as well in Sky and Breath, because he was like, long live
the Queen or something.
Yeah. It's like, we get it, Rune. You want to fuck your sister.
I mean, don't all Fae the Fae nature in these fantasy books these days are inherently incestuous. So, like, I don't like it, but I see where you're getting at, Kenzie.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Like, it's always this undertone of incestuous, but Sarah never goes there. It's like, oh, generations ago they used to, but I don't.
I mean, if anything, Cormac and Rune and all them are cousins, and like they wanted Cormac and Bryce to marry, so like it makes sense.
Yeah, but
Cousins
like
is okay.
Sarah, as the narrative driving force, made sure that didn't happen.
And then Aedion and Aelin had this incestuous almost thing going on because he was a prissy bitch about this blood oath, and like it sounded really gross.
I'm sure we'll get a chance to bitch about Togworld once it all comes back into the fold very soon.
Sure. Final battle. Bryce opens the black hole.
I didn't like the fact that the mask basically became like a baseball or a sunball cap. My apologies.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You know, for both Bryce and Hunt, it was like, oh yeah, I'll put it on, I'll take it off. You know, it's.
Whereas Nesta has to be like bribed to get it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that. Oh no, I'm pretty sure there were descriptions of Bryce's magic or Thea's magic working in tune with the mask. So, like, I think it's what made it easier if she had that sort of power to take it off.
It has to be, because even in Akatar, when we're hearing about the mask prior to even seeing it properly, we heard stories about, you know, people went mad wearing it, and, you know, they never could take it off. It was this thing to be feared, and then both Bryce and Hunt are just like, oh yeah, happy days, don't even need to worry about it.
Because I suppose it coincided with the magic that they shared and possessed, so... I think with Nesta, because when she came out of the cauldron, you know, she was described, or the face scent of her was like death, and then the mask itself is an artifact of death. Maybe like it was just a battle between the deaths, between her wearing the mask and her power within her that made it difficult for her to take it off.
Because it wants her to become true death.
Perhaps, yeah. And then whereas with the star magic, you know, the idea of light versus darkness maybe just makes it that bit easier for Bryce to take it off. Hunt's probably a little weaker argument, but I suppose what would you say, Kenzie? What was Rowan and Aelin? What was their mutual power thing?
Carinum.
Maybe that was Bryce and Hunt's Carinum, and like Hunt was just able to take it off as well.
Or it's just plot armor.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe, I mean, they don't have time for anyone to persuade them to give them reason to take it off. My favourite part of the final battle was when everyone was holding the portal open. I was sobbing. Yes. Tharion was there, obviously. Lydia, Rune, just everybody. Just
the Princes of Hell.
Princes of Hell. They were just holding it open for it. I was also sobbing when Hunt realised Saha's soul was being used as like on a mech suit, and they had the little moment. It's like, this is for you, this is the final sort of thing, thank you for helping. Sobbing.
Yeah, that was so good.
Like, despite all the grief and the grievances about Sarah's writing and certain character arcs and motivations, like, I still feel like it's still a good book. Oh,
it definitely was, like, but I don't think we'd be genuine fans if we didn't pick at it, because, you know,
because we've been waiting 2 years. Well, some of us have been waiting 2 years.
yeah.
And it's like, we wait this long, we want perfection.
Yeah.
And like, it's so weird to me how people are like, this book felt so rushed, but it's like, bro, it's been 2 years. How do you rush 2 years?
Yeah, and also I'm sure like Sky and Breath wasn't released, and then she immediately picked up a pen and was like, okay, now I'm gonna do the next one, blah blah blah. Like, I'm sure she's had the ideas and the arc of where this series is going.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, for a long time.
And I guess like everyone has their expectations and, you know, kind of what
they wanted to play out.
And what they want to happen. But at the end of the day, it's Sarah's story. She tells it how she wants. If she wants us to watch Ethan try and save Sigrid for whatever the fucking reason, then we'll let her do that, you know. This world is her oyster.
You know, overall, like, I think it was really good. I loved the bonus story with Bryce's parents.
Yeah.
Because I think it just gave a lot more groundedness to Nesta. However,
for sure.
I hated Cassian in that story.
Alright, we can dip into this bonus chapter real quick, because we have thoughts.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like Cassian should have had Nesta's back. Yeah, Nesta did betray Rhys for the 1000th time by giving up such a powerful artifact like the mask. But Cassian is Nesta's mate. He should have had her back rather than siding with, once again, his best friend.
Maybe he thought Rhys had a point. It was pretty stupid to give up the artifact to a stranger.
Yeah, look, and if we're talking real life, 100%. You've been dating this boy for 7 months. No, of course he's going to stick with his bros that he's known since he was a kid. But this is meant to be the Fae world where mates are meant to be like intrinsically locked in part of your soul and all that. He should have had her back over Rhys.
And Bryce gave them her parents.
Whether or not she gave him the mask or not.
Maybe Rhys was just upset because he doesn't have parents anymore.
He was triggered. Triggered by a happy family.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, Bryce shoving her parents through the portal, what about her adopted brother?
Oh yeah. Cooper, who was just like, oh no, he's safe, it's okay.
Yeah, he's safe, he's fine. It's like, excuse me?
Cooper lost his real family, then he's lost his adopted family. The poor boy is probably going to be just as traumatized.
Yeah. And then, justify it in one sentence, oh, he's safe.
And he also held no significance because, again, the rebellion is quashed and his sister is unfortunately dead. It's like...
And he's powerless anyway.
And he's powerless, so what's... Yeah. But yeah, back to the bonus chapter. Yeah. I just thought Rhys was fair in yelling. Just because, as I said in the group chat earlier, because Nesta is like, I don't... Oh, what was it?
I don't answer to you or to my sister.
Yeah, but she's living in the Night Court, which is ruled by the High Lord and High Lady, respectively. She can't just continue being a sovereign citizen and just receiving all these benefits.
And I thought we were past this anyway. After Silver Flames, I thought we were in a better position.
I've seen a lot of discourse online as well and conversation about this as well, because this is taking place after Silver Flames, and there was that whole, Rhys and Nesta reconciliation kind of like towards the end of Silver Flames and at the end of SF, because she gave up her powers to save them, and so we're all playing happy families, and now Rhys is once again an asshole.
But rightfully so. I mean, you gave up an artifact to the world of their enemies. Like,
she was bringing it back.
They didn't know that. I mean, the last she knew of Bryce, she stole Truth Teller. Like, who would trust her, realistically?
The other thing I had issue with throughout the whole was this idea, and I know we touched on it last time, but the idea that, Rhys is coming, like, these shadows are encroaching. Oh, yeah, I noticed that. Coming. Because, okay, fair enough, he can't winnow into the House of Wind. That's fine. But what, did he send shadows in advance to notify that he was flying over? Like, it just felt weird.
He became sort of like that overarching sort of character that they fear. And Rhys isn't really meant to be a person that you fear when you're amongst his company, you know?
No.
And then also, Rhys went through hell to get his mate.
For sure.
And he would do anything for her. Even before she had accepted the mating bond, he would do anything for her. And so this whole thing, when Bryce came in the first place, she's like, I need to save my mate. So you would think Rhys would understand.
Oh, yes. So surely as the communal word mate was thrown around, he should have been like, all right, yeah, maybe we can trust you a little bit more.
Also, Ember Quinlan just telling Rhys off was just so good.
I haven't read the bonus chapter, so someone fill me in.
Oh, it's too far out.
I get the general gist.
Basically, Bryce's mum comes in and tells Rhys and everyone off for cracking at Nesta. Like, she just has Nesta's back from the get-go.
Oh, good.
This is obviously happening just after Bryce plopped him into the world as well.
So you get... Seriously, you need to go and read it. But you get the whole span of emotions from the anger of, I can't believe she just did that, and what about our adoptive son, and, you get all that. Yeah. And then by the end of it, it's like, we've got to know Nesta and Az and Cass, and, things are looking a little bit better, so.
Oh, just quickly, I wanted to talk about the Princes of Hell. Yeah, Prince Daddies. Which one is Hunt's father? Both. I don't know, I really enjoyed that interaction because it just felt genuinely different. I don't know.
I kept expecting Hunt to sort of come into his own and then be, reclaim the Orion name, sort of similar as Aelin did back in Tog. Like, I kept expecting to be like, oh no, I know who I am now, and that gives me power, or I don't know. But he still, to the very end, rejected it.
And all he ever really wanted was to know, like, his parents or his father and stuff. He has every right to be shocked, because last thing he'd expect was to be a creation of hell itself. Especially because he spent his whole life, fighting demons. He is essentially a test tube demon. So yeah, that really probably toys with his morals a little bit.
I definitely want to see more of hell.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Seems like a very interesting place.
From the book one, we're meant to believe that it's like modern Christianity sort of hell, like just a horrid, vile place filled with demons, but actually it sounds so much more complex than that, and so much of it is just bad marketing.
Yeah. Ironically, I really enjoyed the idea of demons working for the greater good, or for good morals, I just love that idea, that little flip on narratives. Alright, I already said this to Kenzie because I was impatient at the time I was reading, but...
Rude.
So, in regards to the Princes of Hell, so the reason why we only got Apollyon, Adis, and Thanatos was because the other four were dealing with other worlds. They are known for that, other world issues, whether it be Asteri or otherwise. And we know that they like to create demonic pets, whatever to trial, blah blah blah. So I have a little theory myself in relation to the Tog world. I feel like perhaps one of the princes may have dabbled in creating some Valg, and it just got a little out of control, like a little pest infestation situation, and they just thought, you know what, these Fae can handle it, so we'll just let them figure it out. And therefore Tog was created.
I mean, it's possible, but I think it's much more likely there's some sort of inner conflict happening on Hell.
Maybe,
we're gonna see that in a future project.
So they're natural inhabitants of Hell, do you think, that just seem to have taken upon themselves to leech onto a world?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's possible.
But I can definitely see us seeing more of Hell. I mean, Sarah's already said there's other stuff in the works, that it's going to be a new series. So it would line up if we saw more of Hell.
I wouldn't mind even some novellas of maybe like a particular prince and like what they're doing, how they're helping another world. Just for a bit of fun. I don't even know who the other princes' names are. I suppose it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter to us.
More than anything, I just want to see what, as I said earlier, like what happened when the Asteri first turned up and where the human civilization was at that point. Because they keep saying how humans were there for about 2,000 years, which sort of lines up with modern real-world semantics. So was their society very similar to ours, or even is it the real world?
Personally, I don't think she'd go that deep, but...
Oh, it could be done really well, or it could be really tacky.
Yeah, I know. Could even, like, a little prequel novella on Peleus and Helena and Selene and all that.
I don't want that.
You don't want that? Fair enough. Is it just too much?
I'd rather read Tower of Dawn than read that.
Yeah.
I love Tower of Dawn, thank you.
Don't make me read it.
Gun to your head, Kenzie.
No.
But yeah, the Princes of Hell and just them, again, expositioning about how the Asteri came to be and how they drove them out was also very interesting. And I suppose, as I was saying, like, Tik to Lydia's lineage, Tik to Hunt's lineage, like, I'm satisfied. So I suppose in a way he is like a royal still of Hell, in a way, perhaps.
Yeah, I want to know now, does he have any claim?
I reckon they'd probably allow him.
With his Hellfire lightning.
Not that he's going to absolutely usurp Apollyon and Thanatos, but I'm sure if they want to retire or move on to the next life, I'm sure they might offer it to him.
One thing we didn't touch on is it was good to see that despite the whole debacle that was First Light, Second Light with the Underking, that everyone was still in a form of heaven, like...
Yeah, everyone had a peaceful afterlife.
All their souls in the afterlife were still there.
I love that scene where it was like there was 7 figures, like in the distance or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pack of devils.
I would have liked another one more lighted up.
Yeah, like just from Danica. Yeah. Also, just a lot of Sarah J's afterlives are very like an ambiguous. In her mind, you have the souls and body have to go somewhere.
Well, did I hear she was Mormon?
I don't know. What do
Anyways,
Mormons
I know Stephanie Meyer is Mormon.
Yeah, anyway, it would make sense she'd have some sort of religious belief because there is always a form of afterlife in her stories.
Ultimately, loved Jezebel's sacrifice. I loved how she got to have that last little interaction with Apollyon. He was like so shocked that she was there, and she was like, rah, 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 let me do this. Kind of worked her way around the curse.
Yes.
I did enjoy, although it can be overwhelming, I did enjoy the intricate relationships each character had with different folks and like different reasonings, like Apollyon and Jezebel and their curse situation.
Yep.
I want to know what's in these books. What is so important about these books?
Well, no, because she touches on that, because Apollyon thinks that, there's some great worth in them, and she's so insistent there's not. It's just human history. And she even says that to him right towards the end, like, don't you think if there was some great magic in these books, I would have used it by now.
Yeah.
Also, quick question, how did the Book of Breathings end up there? Like, how did that happen?
I think it can world walk.
Apollyon?
No, I think the book can world walk.
Could do.
I think it's like the Sword of Gryffindor.
Okay, it's there when you need it.
It appears to those who need it.
Maybe I might even dare say Danica at some point, perhaps, because at one point she had the horn. At this point? She had the horn.
Watch out, we'll get a novella all about Danica, and it'll be like a behind the scenes what she was doing, and she'll be like, pick up a book and be like, oh, this looks interesting.
Yeah, who's to say she didn't accidentally teleport somewhere?
No, actually, we sort of milked all of Danica's exploits. We need to now pick on Connor. Connor did all this stuff before he died.
Oh, God.
I loved, him and Ethan towards the end as well. Just like that. Because all he wanted to do was talk to him and have that big brother conversation.
I just really liked the interaction between Jesper and Bryce in sort of the afterworld type thing. And she's just like, oh, it's okay. Ethan will explain everything to you, but you're going to go back to life, so we're good.
Yeah.
So I'm out. Good luck. Bye.
Yeah. Toodles.
For anyone that's seen Supergirl, she gave me such Cat Grant vibes. It was like Cat Grant and Supergirl vibes in that show.
Yeah. She's like such a hard ass to her employees, but deep down, like she has a deep love and respect for her. And she always said, like, it's hard to find another assistant, because she valued Bryce's work. Oh, so good, yeah.
Yeah, do you know how hard it is to find a good assistant?
Yeah.
Jezebel, the unsung hero of it all.
That's it.
And obviously she gave Bryce the gallery and the books to keepsake forever now. She's the guardian of Pathos.
And she made it up for public exhibition now. Which, I wonder if that'll be touched on in the next book. So we're now acknowledging the fact that humans had a full civilization before everyone came across. So how do these, first light deniers, how do they appreciate the fact that now humans have history? Probably as well as we acknowledge First Nations history, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah, that's very fair. That's very fair. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's fair.
What do you mean? It was always us.
Yeah. Interesting. Because, humans are obviously seen lesser than in the Veneer eyes. Although the absolute hierarchy was Asteri, Fae, lesser Fae. And
so now that everyone has their full powers, do we need to touch on Mr. Ethan's little snow and ice situation?
Yeah, sure. It's so cool that he's now kind of confirmed to be that of an elemental Fae shifter, which we are familiar with in the Toggle.
Dorian.
Dorian also just has raw magic. I thought there was a difference.
Yeah, but I think it manifested as like ice first.
Okay. I don't really remember Dorian's that much. I just know that he has the mage
as
hands.
A person who's currently rereading Tog.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that it turns out all these guys are Fae after all, which we always suspected. But the confirmation was
they're not
nice.
just wolves. Yeah. All right. I think Kenzie, you asked last week about how if I got up to like Perry or something. I don't know if you remember what you were trying to allude to between her and Ethan.
Perry's being hinted at quite heavily to be Ethan's mate because there's all these references to Perry's scent and.
Oh, I had something about mates. Do we just get to pick and choose now? Because in the bonus Lydia and Rune chapter, Rune's just like, "You're my mate."
Well, it was said before, but yeah. But remember the CC definition... Oh, no. The Fae definition of mate is, like, absolute. Never mind. Yeah. Sure, why not? You get a mate. Everybody gets a mate. Mates are meant to be so rare, but all our main characters have mates.
They're not really a main character until they've got a mate.
Yeah, at this point...
Everyone needs to be paired off with a nice heterosexual couple.
At this point, I ship Tharian and the dragon. They're mates, in my eyes. Why not? That's where we last see Tharian.
Has to get divorced.
Sorry?
Tharian has to get divorced.
Well, his wife's MIA right now.
To be fair,
yeah.
I don't know what the Fae annulment laws are, but they have probably been married for like 2 days, so I think they could get it annulled by Bryce.
I think they don't get annulment. That's the whole point.
I think it's death or nothing.
Like, they never had like a blood oath sort of transfer or anything. It was just like a little quick married in a hurry ceremony. I don't think it holds real weight, like magical weight.
But I think they were still married, so...
Yeah. But she's long gone. Sathea, or whatever her name is.
She's noped out of there. She's gone back to her ex.
Old Colin. What was his name? Colin?
Yeah, Collins or something. So yeah, last we see Tharian is he's making another stupid decision of entering the meat market.
Hitting up Ariadne.
Yeah, then the dragon spots, and then she's like, you're an absolute idiot to come back here, and that's where we last see of him. So obviously there might be progression happening there in another book, perhaps. I don't know. House of Many Waters is the last main house of Linathion, Crescent City, Midgard, whatever the fuck you want to call this place.
Yeah.
So who knows what that would be about.
I just want a wider map of the world. Like every other series, we get a map of the whole world, and this series we just get the city. That's it. Like we don't even get a map of Avalon.
Maybe Sarah's just on a budget. All right.
Based on
show some respect.
Based on all the recent financial reports that Bloomsbury have put out, she's not on a budget. She is their budget.
Yeah, good. Give her what she wants.
Yeah,
and yeah, I heard that she's going to be releasing 7 books through them.
Yeah, she's been contracted for 7 books. So the whole thing got blown out of the water. Everyone, like, there was all these clickbait articles being like, 7 books coming out this year, 7 books coming out this year. I was like, no, she's been contracted for 7 books. Like,
and I always knew because it never said 7 books. It was 7 titles, and then it never said like this year. But it was like, come on, guys.
I've seen some clickbait that said this year. Like,
oh, lol.
Flame and Shadow counts as one of those 7, and then there's the next Akatar, so that brings it down to 5.
Yeah, she could put out another 2 this year.
If Jennifer L. Armentrout can smash out the amount of books that she can, I'm sure Sarah can too.
I think it's more a marketing point at this point of view. Like they're just at this point of time, that they'd rather have releases once a year that the whole fandom goes absolutely nuts for. That everyone rushes at. If they do too many releases, and it'll water down the hype.
Maybe, yeah.
I've not got another 7 years in me of reading this.
I'm just ready to give up at this point. After Akatar 6, I think I'll call it quits.
We'll see once my medication kicks in how I'm feeling then.
Okay. Fair enough. I suppose if we're done with the main book, we want to dip into some more bonus chapters. I don't know what Kenzie has or has not read. I only just haven't read the
I've already read Rune and Lydia and the Lettuce Babies.
I don't think it's really much more to say than what we did. So the Bryce Lydia was obviously... the Hunt Lydia was important because of the wedding. We already touched on that. Ember and Randall, that was good because Nesta's growth.
So we had the Danica and Bryce flashback, which was essentially highlights the time that they got tattoos, alright? Didn't we see them get tattoos anyway? Or was that always an afterthought in the first book?
No, it was always just referenced. We haven't actually seen it up to now. The issue I have with that, I was messaging Kenzie when I was reading that because you hadn't read it yet. The issue I have with that is they reference, like, there's an angel, the really cute angel looking at them that has red hair. None of the angels we know of have red hair.
And I did research to see if Baxian did, or, like, anyone else. I looked up all the 33rd and stuff on their, like, wiki page, and... none of them have red hair. At that point in the timeline, the only one that would make sense to be randomly standing in a bar watching them is Baxian. Yeah, and then I said he has he's described as having cropped hair. So unless he cut his hair and dyed it real post death, which mental breakdown, dyeing hair makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It could just be perhaps like just a sleazy angel just seeing some 2 hot ladies in a club, taking vested interest that obviously leads nowhere. But I like the Baxian theory though. Because it does make sense. But otherwise, that mini story I felt gave absolutely no depth. Yeah, no. And I saw a TikTok about it because I read it through TikTok. Sorry, Sarah, I'm not paying for that shit. Yeah, a lot of people were a bit upset that this was more of a CC1 type of bonus chapter, not necessarily a HOFAS bonus chapter.
Yeah.
Because obviously it held no merit because we know, their friendship. And obviously the tattoos happened at some point in CC1. But then other people pointed out, well, maybe it was just a time that Bryce was reflecting, perhaps after the battle with Danica, like the last like great and precious moments that they had together, perhaps. But I loved just the highlight of that chapter was Bryce was like, oh, is Sabine giving you trouble? And then Danica's like, yeah, but like with everything now that we know, obviously she was stressed about other things and not necessarily the wolf politics.
Yeah, that's it.
So I liked that sort of thinking as well.
But that was probably the one bonus chapter that I felt was just useless, personally. Because, obviously, as we touched on, Ember and Randall, that was important to see more Prithian and to see how the parents were interacting with everyone over there. We had Rune and Lydia's wedding, which obviously was important in itself, and to see where the worlds ended up. And we had Asriel, Nesta, and Bryce. Yes, and we had more scenes with the three in the caves, which, hey, back to the caves, great.
I feel like that should have been in because...
It felt like it should have been in the story, 100%.
Because otherwise, Bryce has just betrayed them and stole their sword. Or stole their knife, so like...
But it gave more weight to the relationship with Nesta specifically, which means when she did come back, Bryce did come back for the mask, it was like, okay, there's more of a relationship there, so that makes more sense as she handed it over. And we got a bit more depth on Az, which will be important for the next ACOTAR book, because we know that's about Az.
Yep, he's still very secretive about like his own mother and stuff, and just his life story as well. I liked how we got to see how Nesta and Asriel reacted to the phone and the music and that type of stuff. It was pretty funny.
That was really good.
It was really nice because like they played the nice fantastical sort of strings.
It did make me think about like our phones. I'm like, well, I pretty much just use Spotify these days. If I was in that situation, no reception. I don't have any music on my phone now. Like it's all...
And then it died.
Yeah, and then it died. But...
And now there's just this whole idea that Asriel likes the doof doof music.
The rest of the bonus stuff added to the story. I definitely felt so, but that one specifically, it felt like it was just pulled out of the story so that way they could sell it as a bonus scene.
Because obviously anything extra with Bryce, Nesta, and Asriel was always going to be marketed greatly, and everyone would have vested interest into how they react. Considering how much time they've actually spent together in this book was very little.
Maybe that was the threesome we deserved.
No, bugger. Honestly, I'd see that. I'd read that. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let Asriel have a threesome, goddammit. That's all we want. Anything anyone wants to...
Are we doing stars?
I was just thinking that because I'm going to find some. Alright, so we'll probably take a quick 5 minutes or a couple minutes. So Maddie, what we do is we go on Goodreads and we pluck a 1-star and a 5-star review from Goodreads. Just pick whatever you want, whatever's funny, or we try not to pick the thesis because it just takes forever. But so we'll find 1 or 2 1-star, 5 stars each, and then we let it rip at the end.
And then usually I fight them.
What was that?
I usually fight them.
Now that there's 3 of us, there's a higher chance that we all might pick the same 1-star review.
I'm deliberately trying to scroll down because...
I know, I'm just spamming scrolling, but I've already found a couple that is just so good.
Alright, everybody, we are going to go to the Stars That Listen, which is our ending segment where we all pick a 5-star review and a 1-star review on the book that we have read. It's all a little bit of fun, and Maddie can go first because she is our guest.
Goody.
Take us out. And we like to start, with the 1 star so that we end on the 5 stars because we don't like to end
Not
on
a bad idea. Alright, so on 1 star we have Hunt literally can't wear any underwear because his dick is too big.
Yes.
Love it.
Claire, would you like to go next?
Alright, so I have 2, they're within the same screenshot. One of them is Bryce Quinlan is a bimbo, that is all. And then under it is, this book was my ordeal. I mean, that's very fair.
Mine is maybe the real Mass-verse crossover was the friends we made along the way.
Oh no.
Okay, 5 stars. Maddie, kick us off.
Alright, 5 stars. Waited 2 years to finish this book in 2 days. Haven't cried this hard since Kingdom of Ash. I'm unwell. May need multiple business days to recover.
Yeah, fair. I have 2. They're really short ones. One is Team Caves all the way. And then another 5-star review is... Oh no. Alright, so it turns out this was before the book was released, but whatever. I finished HOSAB at 3 a.m. after reading for 16 hours on release day. I'm so fucking desperate for this book. Sorry, I failed the assignment.
Maddie stole mine, so I need to pick another one.
You know what? You can give us a treat. You can read a thesis for us if you want.
In my natural pace.
Yes.
Okay.
Maddie, prepare for glory. What you're about to hear.
I'm bracing myself. I'm ready.
I'm an absolute mess, and I think I'll remain to be so for a very long while. This was a solid roller coaster, the kind that shoots up in the sky and whoosh rams you into the ground in a split half second, and poor you are left breathless. Your heart in shambles, throat sore from screaming, yet you keep riding with sheer adrenaline coursing through your veins. The conclusion was not perfect by any means. Don't get me overly emotional, self-delude you from the fact that you will roll your eyes at some moments, sigh at others, and feel like, wow, how convenient that was. But it was all perfection that way only Sarah fucking Maas can pull off. Only her. I truly love how she spun this installment with alternate pops giving you literal whiplash. It's just impossible to stop reading. The answers, reveals, Easter eggs at the moments we didn't know we needed but craved so much I got in the best of ways. Ugh, my heart. It was a blast. I had fun reading this. My brain heart might disagree at the moment with the word fun, but hey, isn't getting our utter soul destroyed while staying up until 3 a.m. sobbing our heart out is the real reason we love reading. Oh, you sneaky, sneaky woman. The sentence with Azrael's wings spanning all across the cabin. Faints, bless your soul, ma'am, and the fact that he likes music. Now, if you please, his book, if you will, for fuck's sake, I've been waiting years. I need to add in more spoilers because I need to talk about a certain crown prince of the Valbar and Fae. You have my heart and soul, man. Like, honestly, I cannot even begin to describe how much I loved his character from start to finish. The ups and downs of parting, the growing the fuck up and fighting, all of him, the brother, the friend, the secret agent, the prisoner of my heart, the maid, the almost father, him. Lydia, he said roughly, finding out who you are. It fucked with my head to know you're the hind, but also Lydia, also day, my day, but now he swallowed, now her gaze dipped to his mouth. Now I don't fucking care who you are, so long as you're mine. Her eyes shot to his again, full of surprise, because I'm yours, day, I'm fucking yours. I always assumed the oracle's prophecy meant that I would die. He let his kernel of starlight flicker down the blade in answer to Bryce's beckoning blaze one last time, but I'm going to live, he said to his father, and I'm going to live well without you. I love you, I fell in love with you in the depths of my soul, and it is my soul that will find yours again in the next life. At this point, we all know I'll keep adding more thoughts to this until whatever.
Well done. The gasps every time.
Thank you.
I'm impressed.
Thank you. That was fun. And with that, our journey comes to an end.
See you in another 2 years for anything Sarah J. Maas related, I assume.
No, we're meant to be getting Actor 6 started next year.
It's still
next year. But last year I had 37.
I suppose this concludes Bryson Hunt's story for now, to whatever degree.
To whatever end.
To whatever end. Thank you, Maddie, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's been nice having a third voice, third opinion, third thought. Loved it.
I had a great time, thank you.
Yeah. Also, Maddie, where can the people find you if they are interested in your ideas and thoughts further? Or anything book related?
Yep, I'm on Instagram at Maddie Nicole Reads. I occasionally, sporadically post reviews, random bookish content. Yeah, that's the main place. And occasionally writing too, so that's where I can be followed.
Oh, cool. What are you writing?
Generally lately it's been short form poetry.
Cool.
But I'm also working on a more long form manuscript that's, I'll talk more about that once it's a bit more fleshed out, so yeah. For sure.
You don't want to be that person that just kind of reveals too much to the internet.
If you're like, oh, this is what I'm working on, and then, oh, no, I totally scrapped that project, I'm doing something different now. Like,
that's alright. You chop and change, that's part of the creative process.
That's it.
Oh well, wish you luck in your manuscript and your poetry.
Thank you.
That's it for this episode. Catch us next week for, I don't know what, we haven't decided, but whatever's out there will be out there.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.